had the opportunity to review the PSR. We're ready to go forward with the sentencing. While acknowledging that Mr. Von Hoff has a criminal history dating back to 1998, this case is his first felony conviction. Since his arrest in this case, he's made it out to Alpha House. He reported there initially on July 8th of this year. He's doing well there. You saw he had 2 negative drug screens, making progress. He advised me today that he's working on his 5th step in AA. There's no time limit on how long he could stay there, remain in sober living, but he's made a ton of progress. At the time of this case, and I think the video that you saw at the trial bears this out, he was living hand to mouth. He was homeless. He's in a much more stable place, on the right track. We respectfully request the court give him the opportunity to be on community control sanctions, continue the progress that he's made at Alpha House, and see if he can't turn things around here.
All right, Mr. Von Hoff, what do you want to tell me before I impose sentence?
Just like Mr. Patika said, I'm participating in AA. I have a sponsor. I'm working the 12 steps. I've completely turned my life around. I'm a God-fearing Christian. I just recently was baptized a couple months ago, and I'm doing everything that I'm required to do at the Alpha House.
When did you go to Alpha House?
I went July 8th of 2025.
And tell me about that program.
It's a Christian, it's a faith-based program, and it helps other alcoholics and addicts like myself to achieve sobriety and stay on the right track.
What's it like on a daily basis over there?
I go to IOP on a daily basis, Monday through Thursday, or Monday through Friday. I have Wednesdays off. And when we go back, we have certain days that we have guys come in and we do big book studies at the house. We go to AA meetings on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We have guys come in and talk to us, about the Bible, and it's former clients that have been there that have graduated the program that have received God themselves, and they come back and they talk to us. And I want to be, I have a couple mentors in there, and I want to be just like them when I get out and have my life completely changed.
How long do you anticipate being involved with that program?
As long as I can stay there.
What generally is that time frame?
I do believe it's 6 months to a year.
So once you're done there, then what's your plan?
After I graduate, I have the opportunity to do a program that they offer called discipleship, to where I can become a minister, and that's one of my goals, is to work with people in church and to help other alcoholics like myself and drug addicts like myself.
So you went there when?
July 8th.
Why did you go to that place?
I talked to Emily over at Extended Housing, and she knew the guy who kind of basically does intakes for all the sober houses that he is in communication with. And I tried to get into the one in Paynesville, but I didn't qualify for that one because of my domestic. So he told me that I qualified for the one out in Oberlin. So I took the opportunity to go out there to straighten my life out and to get away from all the people that I associated with out here and the drugs that I got from the people out here.
What's the longest time you went in your adult life without using?
A couple of months, and today I am, by the grace of God, today is my 6-month anniversary.
Okay, 6 months exactly, because this was April 22 when this happened, right?
Correct.
And how did this happen? What was the story that day?
We were standing outside of the liquor store, Washington Street liquor store, and she told me she was going with a friend, and I didn't like the idea that she was going somewhere with another gentleman. So we started arguing about that, and I snatched the bandana off of her head. And then we still continued to argue, and then I walked away and I heard sirens, and that's when I seen the Paynesville Police Post.
When's the last time you talked to her?
Right before came to the Alpha House to let her know what I was doing.
Where is she these days, do you know?
Last I knew, she was somewhere in Charlotte.
Are you working right now?
No, I'm not. Right now I am in, because they break down in phases, you have to be there for so long and complete all the criteria and all the phases. And the phase that I'm in right now, I can go out and apply for a part-time job, so I'm looking for part-time work right now.
What kind of employment skills you have?
I'm a CNC machinist,
When's the last time you did that type of work?
2022.
Where at?
Aero Control X in South Euclid.
What kind of training did you have for that job?
I basically taught myself how to run CNC machines in the first machine shop I worked at.
How much money were you making on that last job?
I was getting paid bi-weekly, so I was making about $1,000, $500 a week.
You can make a pretty good buck doing that kind of work, right?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do, Your Honor. And I plan on going back and getting my GED so I can further my progress in the CNC machining, because the only thing I don't know in that particular work is programming and setup, and that's what I want to do, is become a good machinist and advance my career.
All right, anything else you want to tell me?
That'll be it, sir.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Dugan.
Thank you. No, 2911, sentencing, protect, punish, rehabilitate. And those are the goals or the framework for any sentence. And 2912, recidivism, wicked B. None of those 8 factors do apply, really, in this case. But C, every one of them applies. I think it wasn't provoked or induced to slap Ms. Vasquez around, did expect to cause harm, did cause some harm. Is he genuinely remorseful? He was under crack cocaine that day. That's in the report. Supposedly he'd smoked crack cocaine every day from the age of 41 till he went into Alpha House. When he goes into Alpha House after he serves, he didn't post bond, so he's incarcerated 67 days. Then goes over to Alpha House. But he had just been charged on April 16th, with another charge out of Painesville Muni. And that made number 17 by my count of charges and ultimately convictions since he was 18 years old. 4 of those now are domestic violence convictions. In his traffic record, he's got 4 DUIs. He's had lots of opportunities to respond to different sanctions that have been imposed, to do treatment, to go to AA. Had he done any of it over all those 17 years, he wouldn't be here today, sure. He's definitely demonstrated a pattern of drug and alcohol abuse in his life. Like we said, crack every day over the years, all the DUIs. His education, 9th grade, I'm not certain, that he really, can come out of Alpha House and avoid being in trouble again. Employment, he mentioned CNC, but that's not in the pre-sentence report. I didn't see it. In the pre-sentence report, it says he'd only done drywall work over the last so many years. And it had said he hadn't worked at all since 2022. No mention of being a CNC machinist. Hope that's true. He was homeless, but pre-sentence report says he has a sister living in the area, has a brother living in the area, mother's still alive. None of them are here today to support him, to back him up. Apparently none of them are willing to take him in over all these years. So definitely want to see him rehabilitated, but I think for some people, and particularly if someone now like Mr. Von Hoff, who's been in front of how many judges, how many courts over the last 17 years as an adult, he doesn't have a juvenile record according to pre-sentence report. I think for some people like him, the only thing he's gonna understand, really, is being locked up, being punished. And I think he ought to be punished. And not because so much of the harm that was caused that day, but the risk of harm, if he gets out and starts doing crack again, starts using alcohol again, who knows what will happen, to the next victim. So, state's recommendation is that he serve 1 year prison, definite sentence of 1 year, no fine, pay the court costs, time for the charge of drug paraphernalia to be served concurrently, 30 days. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, I've reviewed the pre-sentence report, listened to Mr. Von Hoff, listened to counsel, considered all the provisions in 29, 29, 11, 12, and 13. If there's one thing that's certain, long-term use of drugs and the alcohol have led you to these numerous convictions. Now, some of them are serious, some of them aren't serious. I mean, there's a dog license thing in here, but there's also 3 or 4 domestics. You can glean a little bit from the sentence that was imposed on those things, but not everything. Okay, you've got some OVIs. You got a littering in here. I mean, all this shit is related to your use of drugs. I mean, there's no question about that. It wouldn't take a genius to figure that out. Okay? And the only way you're ever going to change is if you stop. I mean, I'm going to split the atom up here. See, I'm going to go out on a limb and say the only way you're ever going to change is if you stop using drugs.
Correct.
Seems like a genius observation, but it's true. Okay. So now you are in a situation where you tell me that in the last 6 months since this happened on April 22nd, you haven't used, and you've been in the Alpha House since July, and I'm going to presume that you haven't used, or else you probably would have been in trouble somewhere along the way.
Correct.
Because there's drugs in Oberlin too.
Right.
So you've got to make the decision that this is going to be the way you live from now on. Okay, because the other way don't work very well. It hasn't worked very well for 25 years,
Exactly. 27
years that you've been an adult. Okay, and it was rather serious what you did. And it's clear to me that it was beyond the snatching of the bandana, because you could see it and you could hear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place you on community control for a period of 3 years. I'm going to give you 157 days in jail with credit for 67. Now I'm going to defer 90 days until April 22nd of next year. We'll have a hearing at 8 a.m. on that day, and I'll decide whether to impose those additional 90 days or not. Okay? And whether I impose those 90 days is going to depend on how you perform from now until then. Specifically with the Alpha House, your aftercare, your attendance at meetings, your engagement in the conditions of probation. So it won't be necessarily a violation of probation that triggers those 90 days.
Right.
That violation could trigger 12 months in prison. Okay, if you don't convince me that you're doing everything that you have to do to avoid all this nonsense for the last 27 years, then you'll spend another 90 days. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're to have no drugs or alcohol, and you'll be screened. You're going to complete the Alpha House program, and you're going to follow all of their recommendations. You're going to attend at least 4 AA meetings per week and maintain a sponsor. At the appropriate time, you're going to be employed, eventually being full-time employed. You're going to obtain your GED, and you're going to pay the costs and supervision fees. Mr. Clement, any other terms you think are applicable? Mr. Von Hoff, do you understand the terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any question about the terms?
No.
All right, if you violate the terms, then the state will file a motion to terminate your community control. And if I find you violated, then you face 18 months in prison. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So really, Everything's in your hands from now on.
Right.
Okay, it doesn't. Nothing anybody else says, nothing anybody else does matters. You're either going to get your shit together and knock off this nonsense and live the life you're supposed to, or you're not.
Right.
It's that simple. The sentence on the misdemeanor, which was an M4, is 30 days with credit for 30. Anything else, Mr. Dugan?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Fatika?
Your Honor, just for the record, I've discussed the prospect of it.
Appeal.
We're going to forego that, Your Honor.
You are. Okay, well, I got to tell you anyway, because if I don't, somebody's going to complain that I didn't, okay? So you have a right to appeal your conviction and your sentence, the 11th District Court of Appeals, if you wish. You also have a right to have a lawyer represent you in the appeal. You have a right to have a timely notice of appeal, which would be within 30 days, filed on your behalf. If you can't afford a lawyer, we'll appoint one for you. If you can't afford a copy of the transcripts, you'll be able to get them free of charge. You understand those rights?
He tried explaining everything, but the judge cut him off instantly and ordered jail time on the spot. Tell me in the comments, was the judge right or too strict?